Tara found herself alone at home when the phone suddenly rang. A voice on the other end claimed to be Charlie, asking for Tara's mother. As she texted her friend Amber, Charlie kept her on the line. He started asking questions about horror movies. Tara mentioned a preference for newer, more psychologically intense horror films, like The Babadook, Hereditary, and The Witch. However, Charlie drives the conversation towards the classic stab movies, especially focusing on the original film. The voice on the phone quickly turned terrifying, revealing they had cloned Amber's phone and were currently outside Tara's bedroom. They threatened to kill Amber if Tara didn't answer the questions correctly. Under pressure, Tara got the final question wrong. Then the Ghostface breaks into her house. Panicking, Tara opens the door and Ghostface slashed across her stomach. Desperately, she tried calling the police while Ghostface continued to taunt her over the phone. Relentless in his attempts to break in, he finally forced his way inside, brutally stabbing Tara through the hand and twice in the side, and breaking her foot in the struggle. The police arrived shortly after, causing Ghostface to flee. Tara was left alive but severely injured, the ordeal far from over. In Modesto, Tara's older sister Sam is working with her boyfriend Richie when she receives a phone call from Tara's friend Wes to inform her that Tara has been attacked. As Sam and Richie drove back to Woodsboro, they discussed the stab movies, trying to piece together any connection they might have to the recent attack. At Woodsboro High, Tara's friends Amber, Wes, Liv McKenzie, and siblings Chad and Mindy Meeks Martin are gathered as they talk about Tara's attack and Sam returning home. Nearby, a creepy guy named Vince Schneider that Liv used to hook up with stands by trying to get her back, even though she's now with Chad. It also turns out that Wes is the son of Judy, who has gone from deputy to sheriff of Woodsboro. Weston gets a text from Tara after she wakes up, and the friends all go to visit her. Sam and Richie arrived at the hospital and made their way to Tara's room, where they found her friends gathered. Tara's face lit up with a mixture of surprise and happiness upon seeing Sam, as it had been 5 years since Sam had fled from the Woodsboro. Tara asks everyone but Sam to leave the room, though Richie stays outside for Sam's sake. The friends gather at a pool hall where they talk about Sam and how she ditched the family after her, and Tara's father walked out on the family. Vince was there, once again trying to make moves on Liv. When Chad stepped in to confront him, Vince pulled out a knife after this bartender threw them out of the bar. Later, he noticed his car's headlight turned on. Approaching cautiously, he found no one inside. Suddenly, Ghostface appeared, stabbing Vince in the neck and leaving him to bleed to death. Sam and Richie remained at the hospital with Tara. Sam went to the bathroom to take her medication. There, she hallucinated seeing the ghost of Billy Loomis, the original Woodsboro killer. Billy taunted her, suggesting she knew the reason behind the attacks and implying she was connected to them. Suddenly, Sam received a taunting call from Ghostface. Before she could react, he attacked her. Sam managed to escape and ran to find an officer, urgently reporting the assault. Judy comes to talk to Sam, Tara, Richie, and Amber with some suspicion thrown on Richie. Judy remembers Sam from how she caused problems for her family and suggests she and Richie leave town in the morning. Sam then asks Richie and Amber to leave so she can talk to Tara. She reveals to her that when she was 13, she was in the attic of their old house, where she found a diary that her mom wrote, thinking they were about their dad. That was when Sam found out that she was the illegitimate daughter of Billy Loomis, and when she confronted her mom about it, that was when her dad found out the truth and left the family. Filled with guilt and horror, Sam fled town for fear that she would end up just like Billy. Tara, furious at Sam for waiting so long to reveal the truth after abandoning her, tells him to leave the room. Outside, Sam told Richie they should return to Modesto, but Richie insisted on staying until they were sure Tara was safe. Sam suggested they needed to find an expert to help them navigate the dangerous situation. Sam and Richie find the home of former Sheriff Dewey Riley, who lives alone and is separated from Gail Weathers, watching her now successful morning news show. Dewey doesn't want to talk to Sam and Richie until Sam says she is Billy's daughter. Dewey suggests that if the killer was inspired by the first Stab movie, then there are certain rules that they need to follow to survive.
Rule number 1, never trust the love interest. He's always connected to something in the past. And rule number 3, the first victim always has a friend group that the killer is a part of.
Dewey still refuses to help them and makes them leave. He then calls Sydney, who is now married with kids. But her relief quickly turned to concern when he informed her that the killings in Woodsboro had started again. While Sydney had learned to protect herself, she refused to return to Woodsboro. After some consideration, Dewey fixes himself up and goes back to Woodsboro with Sam and Richie. They go to Chad and Mindy's home, where it turns out they are the nephew and niece of Randy, and Mindy is as much of a film buff as her uncle was. Sam gathers the rest of the friends to reveal a shocking truth. She is Billy Loomis's daughter. She explained the connections between the current killings and the original murders, as well as a link to the first Stab movie. Amber says that she learned that Vince was a nephew of Stu Macher, Billy's accomplice. Mindy says that the killer is doing a requel, reboot and sequel of Stab, because many diehard fans of the Stab franchise were pissed off by Stab 8. Wes worries that his mom is next since Judy was part of a Stab story. When Mindy suggests that Sam could be the killer, she storms out and goes back to her motel. Judy placed an order for food for herself and Wes, then headed out to pick it up. On her way, she received a threatening call from Ghostface, who ominously warned her that Wes's life was in danger, but he is taking a shower. Judy raced to the front of the house, only to be attacked and stabbed repeatedly by Ghostface. Inside, Wes heard strange noises and went downstairs to investigate, but he failed to notice his mother lying outside in front of the house. Ghostface attacks Wes and stabs him through the throat, killing him. Sam and Dewey later come across the crime scene. Gail shows up as well, mourning Judy, but also chastising Dewey for telling her about the killings via text. Although the reunion is rocky, he admits to Gail that he was forced to retire from his job after they split up and he began drinking. When Sam arrived at the crime scene and saw the deputy from the hospital there, she realized that no one was left at the hospital to look after Tara. Worried for his safety, she immediately heads back to the hospital and is joined by Dewey. Back at the hospital, Tara tried in vain to get a nurse or guard's attention, but no one answered. When the lights abruptly went out, she realized Ghostface was responsible. In a desperate attempt to find help, Tara wheeled herself outside, only to find the murdered guard and his gun missing. Terrified, she quickly returned to her room to hide, but then heard someone starting to open the door. She hits them with a crutch, but it's just Richie having come to check on Tara per Sam's request. Meanwhile, Sam desperately tried to reach Tara, only to be haunted by Ghostface over the phone. As Ghostface knocked Richie unconscious, he pursued Tara, who was trying to escape her room. Ghostface then demanded Sam choose between saving Tara or Richie. Sam bought time by stalling until she and Dewey arrived. When they finally did, Dewey shot Ghostface 3 times. He gets Richie into the elevator with Sam and Tara, but he stays behind to put a bullet in Ghostface's head. Unfortunately, before he can do so, he is distracted when Gail tries to call him, giving Ghostface an opportunity to rise and attack. The killer gets 2 knives and stabs Dewey in the gut and back, slicing him upwards and killing him. Ghostface gloats it's an honor before leaving the scene. Gail later arrives and is devastated to discover Dewey's body being wheeled out. Sydney returns to Woodsboro upon hearing of Dewey's death, and she reunites with Gail. Sam takes Tara out and offers her condolences to the 2 women, but although Sydney tries to offer help, Sam refuses and says she is going to take Tara and flee from Woodsboro. Sydney tells her that running away never works, but Sam goes through with it anyway. Sydney then tells Gail that she put a tracker in Sam's car and they proceed to follow her. On their way out of town, Tara tells Sam that she needs her inhaler and can't find it. She says that Amber has a spare one for her, so they go to her house, but they are having a memorial party for Wes. Chad, Mindy and Liv are also there. Liv wants to hook up with Chad, but he fears that she is the killer, which upsets her and makes her leave. When he goes looking for her, a location sharing icon pops up, but it is just Ghostface tricking Chad to lure him. The killer gets the drop on Chad and begins stabbing him. Sam and Richie force the teens to leave the house, except for the main group of friends. Liv comes back and learns from Mindy that Chad went looking for her. Fed up with being accused of being the killer, Liv suggests that Mindy is next since the expert character usually gets killed. Mindy continues watching the first stab, specifically the scene where the Randy character is unaware that the killer is behind him, while telling the character in the movie he is watching to turn around. And sure enough, Ghostface is right behind Mindy. He stabs her in the neck but is stopped as Sam comes in. After Ghostface flees, Amber comes in with Tara and thinks Sam attacked Mindy. Richie comes in as well as Liv after she found Chad outside and comes in with his blood on her hands, leading to more accusations. When she says one last time she's not the killer, Amber reveals that she is and pulls out a gun to blow Liv's brains out. Everybody runs. Sydney and Gail arrived at the house, immediately recognizing it as Stu's from their first confrontation with Billy and Stu. Hearing screams from inside, they prepare their guns. Amber emerged pretending to be under attack, but Sydney and Gail quickly realized it was a trap. Amber shot Gail in the side before retreating back into the house. Sydney urged Gail to head to the hospital, but Gail, determined to see the situation through for Dewey's sake, insisted on staying. Sydney enters and shoots every door, thinking Ghostface is hiding behind them. Gail managed to shoot Richie in the leg, although he was merely hiding for safety. Meanwhile, Sam found Tara tied up in the closet, but hesitated when she remembered Richie's warning about there always being two killers. Richie had implied that Tara might be involved, possibly luring them back to Woodsboro. Just then, Amber attacks Sydney, leading to a fierce struggle over the gun. Sam grabs it, but then Richie stabs her in the side, revealing himself as the second killer. He even shows that he took Tara's inhaler to bring them to the house. Richie and Amber take Sydney, Gail and Sam into the kitchen as they prepare to kill them, but not before explaining their motive. They were so dissatisfied with the last Stab movie, having taken creative liberties that had little to do with the original, that they have decided to make their own requel by bringing back a legacy character, along with the original protagonist, to make an ideal Stab sequel, while also defending themselves against the toxic fan label that people like them have gotten over the years, seeing themselves as just passionate about the franchises they love. They also plan to frame Sam as a villain of their story. When Amber goes to check on Tara, she finds that she is not in the closet anymore. Amber gets whacked with a crutch by Tara while Sam fights Richie. Amber made her way back into the kitchen where Sydney and Gail confronted her. Gail fought fiercely, driven by vengeance for Dewey, while Sydney smashed a jar of hand sanitizer over Amber's head. Both women then shot Amber, who fell onto a lit stove and was consumed by flames. Meanwhile, Richie was preparing to kill Sam, but she managed to grab a concealed knife and stab him in the face. She then viciously stabbed him repeatedly before slashing his throat. Sydney and Gail arrived just in time to warn Sam that the killers often return for one final scare. Amber, still alive, burst out screaming and attempted another attack, but Tara shot her in the head, ending her reign of terror. To ensure Richie was truly dead, Sam took Sydney's gun and shot him in the head. The police and medics arrive, and Chad and Mindy are revealed to still be alive. Sam thanks Sydney and Gail for helping them, even when she told them not to. Gail decides that her next book will be about what a hero Dewey was, and that the killers can stay dead without anybody knowing who they were. Sam then goes to the hospital with Tara while news reporters cover the crime scene.